When people look at me, many think I was a tech genius, but the truth is different. I was an English teacher with a low salary and a resume full of rejections. I didn't start with money or connections. What I had was just 1 hour a day to dream and act differently from most. And it was in that solitary hour, away from the spotlight, that the Alibaba empire began to take shape. I believed that if I used that small slice of time wisely, I could transform everything else. This is the foundation of any personal revolution. It starts in the invisible, in the small dot. Do you know what separates those who achieve from those who only wish? It's how they use that hour when no one's watching. While many get distracted or complain, you can choose to plant your next leap. And it's no exaggeration. One single hour of high-quality effort every day changes everything. This isn't about luck. It's about strategy. Great habits are born from small choices. And it's in this 1 hour ritual that true productivity takes shape. When you treat your time as sacred, it begins to treat you as someone worthy of your dreams. There was a time when I thought that only with great resources could I do something big. But then I realized, if not now, when? If not me, who? That question changed my game. Instead of waiting for the perfect timing, which never comes, I chose to use that hour between classes, before dinner, after work. And it was there, far from the flashes, that my obsession with growth, self-improvement, goal setting, and mental resilience was born. Each passing day, I didn't see change. But in 6 months, I was no longer the same. If you feel lost, not knowing where to start, look at your next free hour. It may be your key to a new reality. Instead of scrolling through your feed, why not open a book that challenges you? Instead of complaining about the routine, why not write down your goals clearly? That's the success mindset that shapes a new biography. And this applies to anyone, anywhere, under any conditions. What you lack may not be opportunity, but the decision to use your next hour well. So the question isn't whether you can change your life. The real question is, will you keep treating your free hour as something trivial, or will you start seeing it as the gold mine it truly is? 1 hour of intention is worth more than weeks of distraction. The future begins when you stop wasting the present. And when you embrace this time with energy, purpose, and focus, something inside you starts to shift. But can that change, sustain, if you don't master the start of each day? Jack Ma teaches that the first hour of your day sets the course. For the rest of it, waking up and diving into social media is handing your mind over to chaos. That first hour must be sacred preparation, where you decide how you want to live. If you don't program your mind, the world will do it for you. The beginning of your day is the steering wheel of your entire life. Start it in reaction, and you'll stay reactive all day. Start it with intention, and the world begins to respond differently. Ask yourself, what do I want to create today? Who do I want to be? Success isn't born from chance, but from a renewed intention every morning. The discipline of owning your first hour isn't a luxury. It's a survival strategy. That moment of silence, that brief solitude, is your negotiation with destiny. Self-awareness, goal setting, and willpower development are sharpened right there in the invisible decisions you make before anyone else is awake. When I started practicing this, everything changed. I would wake up and write what I wanted to become, even when I didn't know how. That first hour wasn't about solving problems. It was about aligning my spirit. And believe me, alignment is more powerful than effort. The truth is, if you don't win your morning, the rest of the day will be chasing its tail. Productivity tips, mental resilience, and a growth mindset all begin in those early, quiet minutes. And if you think you don't have time, let me tell you, you do. What you don't have is permission. Not from the world, but from yourself. If not now, when? If not me, who? The most important hour of your day is not when the world is watching. It's when you wake up and choose who you are before the noise starts. That's when leadership is born. Not out there, but inside your first thoughts. Winning the first hour is winning your day. And winning your days, one after another, is how you build a new life. As I often say in my talks, the difference between a life of reactivity and a life of purpose starts with your very first thought. But how do you protect that thought when the world tries to steal it from you? When I talk about protecting your hour, I'm really talking about guarding your dream. You don't need to defend it with anger, but with clarity. This is your time to grow. No calls, no distractions, no compromises. Because the world, so busy and unfocused, will always try to steal your most precious asset, your time. And if you let it slip away 1 minute at a time, you begin to trade your future for momentary crumbs. Don't exchange gold for leftovers. Every just 1 minute you give away, you drift further from your vision. Just a quick check. You weaken your invisible construction. That hour, the one no one sees, is the one building the life everyone will one day admire. This is not just time management. This is self-discipline and personal development in action. When you protect that time, you're really protecting your future self. I learned this lesson the hard way. In the early days of Alibaba, I had to fight to keep my hours sacred. People laughed when I would decline meetings just to study or write down plans. But now I understand. The one who values their time teaches the world how to respect them. And as I often said, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. That's how you evolve. You don't rearrange the world. You rearrange how you show up for it. Treat that hour like a vault. No intrusions, no noise. Turn off notifications, silence the world, and open the door to transformation. In that moment, you're not just managing time. You're practicing emotional intelligence and building mental resilience. That level of focus rewires your brain. Day by day, it teaches your mind that this hour matters more than the rest. So I ask you, what would happen if you guarded your growth like it was your most valuable possession? What kind of life could you build if every hour invested was protected like gold? What kind of self-belief would you develop if the world couldn't touch your sacred space? The real transformation doesn't come from what you know. It comes from the quiet commitment to show up consistently, even when no one is clapping yet. But what if you had direction before stepping into that hour? Taking action without direction is like running in circles. I always tell people, before diving into your hour, pause and ask yourself, where am I going? Direction turns effort into meaningful progress. A simple plan is far more powerful than aimless energy. Without clarity, even your most productive moments can take you further from your purpose instead of closer. It's not about how much you move. It's about whether you're moving toward what truly matters. Start your hour by setting a compass. Take 3 minutes and write. What do I want to learn today? What do I want to improve? Why does this matter to me? These questions are like GPS coordinates for your future. Without them, you might be working hard, but walking the wrong road. This is the core of self-awareness, goal setting, and real-life transformation. With direction, even a small step feels like a leap. I used this method when building a life. Every day, I would write a simple, clear objective. Today, I learn about business models. Tomorrow, I improve my leadership. The next day, I focus on customer service. It wasn't complex, but that clarity became my engine. Like I said, success is not about being the smartest. It's about knowing what matters. Even a flawed plan is better than none. With direction, mistakes become lessons. Without it, they become loops. Your brain craves targets. When you feed it focus, it performs like a laser. When you don't, it scatters like fireworks. Beautiful, but without direction. Think of this as the most powerful productivity tip you'll ever get. Direction before action. And don't forget, when you align purpose and plan, you tap into willpower development and motivation at their peak. That's the mindset that doesn't just dream, it builds. So before you jump into your hour of power, pause and reflect. Is this action moving me forward or just keeping me busy? Because without clarity, you might be accelerating into a wall. But once you have direction, your energy becomes unstoppable. Still, even the most focused minds need fuel. And that's where learning enters the game. I often say, success doesn't come only from working hard. It comes from learning smart. One focused hour of learning each day transforms your mind, your decisions, and ultimately, your results. You grow when you decide to feed your knowledge intentionally. And you don't need an expensive school or magical courses. 1 hour with a book, a podcast, a successful biography, that's enough to shift your perspective and plant seeds of greatness. Knowledge is like compound interest. Small daily deposits lead to massive transformation. When I was broke and no one believed in me, I still had one wealth: my hunger to learn. That's why I say, when you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. Learning gave me that dream. It was my escape from limitations, my fuel for personal growth, and my toolkit for self-improvement. And the best part, no one can ever take away what you learn. This is where you take control of your destiny. Every book you read, every mentor you listen to, becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. Read, Think, and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Watch The Pursuit of Happiness. Fill your mind with stories that ignite your motivation. You don't need to read for hours. Just one consistent hour can change your entire identity over time. That's not a theory. That's what I lived. You see, the brain loves new ideas, but it needs repetition to grow. 1 hour of daily continuous learning sharpens your thinking, your emotional intelligence, and your decision. You become more creative, more adaptable, and more prepared. This is the quiet superpower of successful people. They're not smarter, they're just more committed to learning than the rest. So what could you become if you treated learning like your most valuable asset? Because it is a sharp mind, builds sharp results. But all that learning is only powerful if you do one thing next, and that's take action. Knowledge without execution is just unused potential. So what happens when you start applying what you learn every single day? Knowing without applying is like collecting empty boxers. I teach this everywhere I go. 1 hour of practice is worth more than 10 hours of theory. Real growth happens when you get out of your head and into action, even imperfect action. Self-discipline isn't built from thinking. It's built from doing. You gain confidence, not when you know everything, but when you dare to try, fail, and get back up. When I started Alibaba, I didn't know how to lead, raise money, or build a tech company. What I knew was how to try, again and again. I practiced leadership by leading poorly, then better. I practiced communication by speaking badly, then improving. The courage to act before feeling ready is what created my momentum. Like I say, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. You transform by changing your behavior, not just your mindset. Each time you apply what you've learned, you evolve. Practice creates mental resilience and shapes your identity. It teaches you that you are not defined by outcomes, but by effort. Self-belief grows not in the stands, but on the field, where sweat, fear, and failure live. 1 daily hour of practice rewires your brain faster than months of passive learning. Your nervous system doesn't care what you know. It responds to what you do. Don't wait for permission or the perfect time. The only time that exists is now. Want to be a better speaker? Record yourself every morning. Want to start a business? Sell one thing online today. Want to improve your health? Do 15 minutes of exercise right now. Action is the bridge between what you learn and who you become. Daily improvement happens not in theory, but in movement. So, if you've learned something powerful today, don't keep it in your notebook. Test it. Live it. Apply it in your job, in your home, in your relationships. Because transformation doesn't happen in the crowd. It happens when you step onto the field, clumsy but committed. Still, how do you know you're truly improving? It begins when you start asking the right questions. Every master, I say, is also a lifelong student. It's not enough to do. You must evaluate. After your 1 hour, ask yourself, what did I learn? Where can I improve? These questions turn ordinary experience into extraordinary wisdom. It's not repetition that leads to excellence. It's reflection. That's how personal development becomes exponential. In the early days of Alibaba, we had more failures than victories. But we reflected on every step. We looked at why something didn't work, and we made small corrections. Just like a pilot adjusts the course midair. You don't need to change everything. Just steer slightly in the right direction every day. These small shifts, applied consistently, create unstoppable progress. That's the power of daily improvement. When you build the habit of asking better questions, you get better answers. What felt difficult today? Where did I waste time? What energized me? These are not just reflections. Success habits are built not by blind repetition, but by conscious iteration. That's how you turn actions into transformation and routines into rituals of evolution. Most people skip this step. They act and move on. But wisdom lives in the review. You'll be surprised at how much insight is buried in the day you just lived. When you reflect, you extract the lesson. And when you apply that lesson, your next hour becomes stronger, more focused, more aligned. That's not just growth. That's self-awareness on fire. So, ask yourself, are you repeating your day or upgrading it? Are you just checking off tasks or learning how to move smarter? Reflection is the muscle that turns effort into excellence. But none of this matters if your body doesn't have the energy to keep up with your mind. Your mind is only as powerful as the energy your body allows. I often warn, success and health are inseparable. A neglected body limits even the brightest mind. 1 hour a day dedicated to your health is the best investment for your long-term success. This isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Self-discipline and physical habits builds the foundation for mental resilience and emotional intelligence. Move your body, stretch, breathe deeply. Your energy is your edge. When your body is strong, your mind becomes sharper. High energy fuels productivity, focus, and self-belief. Think of your body as the engine of your future. Would you run a race with a failing machine? Why run your life with a weak body? There was a time I worked non-stop. Meetings, speeches, decisions, but I realized something. If I collapsed, so would my company. That's when I made a change. Walks in the morning, Tai Chi at night. Not for vanity, but for clarity. A healthy routine helps balance the storm of leadership. It restores creativity, calm, and a deeper connection with your goals. As I've said many times, when you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. But that dream requires stamina. Without health, even your dreams will feel heavy. Start with simple practices. 20 minutes of yoga, a cold shower, or a fresh juice. These habits don't just boost your day, they protect your legacy. Health amplifies everything else you do. The discipline to care for your body weighs grams. The regret of ignoring it weighs tons. You live in your body, it's the only home you'll never move out of. Build it, honor it. And when your body thrives, your vision expands. But when does your greatest vision usually get built? In silence. I always tell young people, great fortunes are built when most are resting. Don't wait for free time to build your future. Use a silent hour after work, when the world quiets down, to plant your project, your brand, your legacy. That hour, unseen by others, becomes your superpower. Self-discipline is born when you choose consistency over comfort. No big team, no massive investment, just you, your idea, and your commitment. When we started Alibaba, we had nothing. No money, no technology, no connections. We had only belief and time. But in that time, we created magic. I still remember late nights in a small apartment with 17 friends and a dream. It wasn't glamorous, but that silence, that grind, that invisible hour, it built something the world would one day celebrate. That self-belief in action. Most people think wealth comes from big breaks. It doesn't. It comes from small actions repeated quietly. 1 hour focus today creates an independent life tomorrow. That's the formula of personal development and life transformation. You may feel like nothing is happening, but one day, the world will call you lucky because they didn't see the hours you invested when no one was watching. This is the hour where dreams are born, not on stage, but in solitude. In that hour, you read the book, write the business, plan, launch the blog, start the course. The world rewards those who work in silence and show up with results. It's not about proving yourself. It's about improving yourself, silently and powerfully, with self-discipline and vision as your compass. While the world scrolls, you build. While others rest, you rise. And what you create in silence becomes your story of victory. But what's the point of reaching the top if there's no one to share it with? What good is victory if there's no one to celebrate it with? Always remind entrepreneurs. Success without love is just loneliness in disguise. Invest 1 hour a week in the people who matter to you. Family, friends, these are the relationships that give meaning to your journey. This hour of presence will enrich your life far more than any trophy ever could. Put your phone down. Listen for real. Share moments. Gratitude practices aren't just about writing in a journal. They're about living with presence. That hour spent with someone you care about strengthens the emotional fabric that holds you together when storms come. When I was rejected by Harvard 10 times or turned down by KFC, it was friends and family who gave me the strength to try again. That's emotional intelligence in its purest form. Many people chase results and forget the people around them. They climb, only to find themselves alone at the top. But what matters most at the end of life is not what you built. It's who you built it with. That's why at Alibaba, I always said, customers first, employees second, shareholders third. It shocked investors, but it built a culture where people felt seen, valued, and loved. To grow your business or career without growing your relationships is to build a house without a foundation. Your network, your support, your emotional balance. These don't come from apps. They come from presence. So take that 1 hour, have dinner without distractions. Call that old friend. Ask your child about their day. It's simple, yet powerful. Because in the end, when challenges strike, it won't be your resume that comforts you. It'll be the people who know your heart. And those bonds, built with intention, become your greatest wealth. But imagine if you stacked every one of your hours into a greater vision. What could your life become then? Every focused hour is a brick in the construction of your future. I often compare it like this. 1 hour a day becomes 300 hours a year. That's almost 2 full months dedicated entirely to yourself. Now, ask yourself, what could you build in 2 months of intentional action? A book, a business, a brand new version of you. This is not exaggeration, it's math. It's productivity multiplied by self-discipline. Stacking your hours means turning consistency into momentum. It's not about huge wins. It's about micro commitments made daily. 1 hour of self-improvement, then another. 1 hour of personal growth, then another. Eventually, you look back and realize you've built a completely new reality. This is the power of persistence. Quiet, invisible, and unbeatable over time. I didn't create Alibaba in a year. It took 19 years of trying, failing, adjusting, and showing up. And it all started with small hours that I protected fiercely. I treated them as if my future depended on them. Because it did. Every night, I would think, what can I do today that brings me one step closer? It wasn't magic. It was math, intention, and willpower development. Imagine what your life could look like if you honored your time the way billionaires do, as your most valuable currency. Because it is, and no one else will manage it for you. When you stack your hours, you're stacking belief, skills, habits, and identity. That's how the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Not overnight, but over hours. And when you finally look back, you won't just see hours stacked. You'll see your new life. Not just time spent, time transformed. But what if that 1 hour didn't just change your outcomes? What if it changed you? You don't change your life in one leap. You change it 1 hour at a time, as they often share. It's that daily hour that reshapes your thinking, your identity, and your story. Each hour you invest is a vote for the person you want to become. And with each small choice, you build a massive difference. Self-discipline and positive thinking are not built in sprints. They're crafted in these quiet, repeated moments of choice. Every time you sit down to learn, to reflect, to move, or to act with intention, you're telling the universe, I'm ready. And the universe responds not to your wishes, but to your will. This is how life transformation truly begins, not with noise, but with stillness. Not with grand gestures, but with daily repetition. You become someone new, not by waiting, but by doing. That's what happened to me. The Jack Ma who got rejected from Harvard 10 times is not the same Jack Ma who stood on global stages. I changed because I changed my hours. One by one, they added up. They rewired how I thought, how I led, how I lived. Resilience, growth mindset, and empowerment are all trained in this hidden the hour no one else sees. You won't notice it on day 1, maybe not even on day 10. But on day 100, you'll see a new strength, a new perspective, a new peace. That's when the outside world begins to reflect what you've been building inside. This is how transformation becomes permanent. Not because you chased it, but because you created it, hour by hour. So don't start tomorrow. Don't wait for January. Don't wait for the stars to align. 1 hour of decision, 1 hour of discipline, 1 hour of dreaming. That's all it takes to begin. Because by the time you're done stacking these hours, you won't just have changed your time. You'll have changed who you are.
The audience had just witnessed one of the most transformative presentations of the year. And it came not from a billionaire flaunting success, but from a former English teacher who was rejected by Harvard 10 times and couldn't get hired by KFC. Jack Ma delivered what can only be described as a wake-up call, a revolution in the way we perceive time, growth, and success. In his trademark energetic, witty, and heartfelt style, Jack Ma didn't sell a miracle. He offered something far more powerful, a method, a mindset, a quiet revolution that starts with just 1 hour a day. While the world is distracted, waiting for perfect conditions or quick fixes, Jack Ma shared how to build a new life, not someday, but starting today. The video dismantled the myth that transformation demands dramatic change. If not now, when? If not me, who? He asked. With this single question, he reminded us that the most powerful resource we have is time, and how we use it defines everything. The secrets he revealed were not theories. They were the exact practices that turned a man with zero tech skills into the founder of one of the most valuable companies on earth. He walked us through the art of winning the first hour of the day, before the world grabs your attention, and showed how this sets the tone for unstoppable momentum. He shared how to protect your hour of gold like a treasure, and why every hour you invest is a brick in the foundation of your future. These weren't motivational slogans. They were strategies used in silence to build billion-dollar impact. Jack Ma then reminded the audience that learning alone is not enough. Knowledge must be practiced. He called out the habit of collecting inspiration without taking action, pushing everyone to move beyond theory into transformation. 1 hour of learning, 1 hour of doing, 1 hour of reflection. These become the building blocks of a new identity, hour by hour. And what about health? In a rare, vulnerable moment, Jack admitted that even the greatest vision collapses if the body does. He emphasized how productivity, self-discipline, and mental resilience are rooted in physical energy. He challenged viewers to treat their bodies as temples, not afterthoughts. But what stood out most was his call to connect. Jack Ma warned that success without meaningful relationships is failure in disguise. He invited us to invest an hour weekly in love, laughter, and genuine connection, because no legacy is truly great if it is built alone. This wasn't just a speech. It was a blueprint, a new operating system for life. And if you absorb it, if you apply even 1 hour of it a day, your entire trajectory could change, not in theory, in practice, starting now. After everything we've walked through, from mastering your first hour to practicing, reflecting, and building in silence, the question is no longer if this works. The question is, will you do it? Will you claim that 1 hour, each day, and reshape your destiny from the inside out? What would happen if you committed to just 1 hour of focus, growth, or gratitude starting tomorrow? What could your life look like 30 days from now, or 1 year? The truth is, your transformation doesn't need noise, applause, or perfection. It needs consistency. It needs you. Which part of this message hit you the hardest? Was it the silent hour of building your legacy? The power of reflection? Or maybe the reminder that relationships, not results, define true wealth? Share in the comments below. I want to hear which insight will guide your next hour. If this video sparked something inside you, don't let that fire fade. Watch it again whenever you need a push. Let it be your fuel when the world is loud and your dreams feel distant. And make this commitment. Every time you feel like giving up, come back to this message. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because if you don't, chances are you'll never find it again when you need it most. And click the bell icon to get notified when new videos drop, especially if you want to keep growing with real, no-hype strategies for success. Before you go, check out our next video. It's the perfect follow-up to this one, and it might just be the next spark that changes your life.